When humans first named the world, they did not start with propositions or proofs. They began with images. A spiral drawn in the dust, the curve of a river remembered as a silver thread, a single tree set apart on a hill. These were not merely sights. They were statements. Symbols. The language of gods and of ordinary people alike. Symbols do two things at once. They describe, and they prescribe. They point at a thing in the world, the sun rising, the snake shedding skin, the stranger who comes after winter, and at the same time they shape how we live with that thing. A symbol says, this is not only what it is, this is how you ought to feel about it. Let's start with a few of the oldest, most persistent symbols: the tree, the serpent, the sun, and the water. In one frame, a tree is a source of shade and fruit. In another frame, it is the world's spine, the axis mundi connecting underworld, earth, and sky. The serpent crawls across deserts and temple steps, and in some myths it brings poison, in others, renewal. The sun is both a clock and a sovereign, water is both life and danger. These images are economical, small packages containing entire cosmologies. Why do these images repeat across time and place? Part of the answer is environmental. People in river valleys notice water. Desert peoples notice sand and mirage. But there is more. Symbols also speak to shared human concerns: mortality, fertility, justice, and power. This is where archetype meets geography. The same silhouette can answer an ecological question and a metaphysical one. Consider ritual. People do not only tell stories about symbols, they enact them. A rite of planting is simultaneously a rehearsal of cosmology. When a community plants the seed, performs a song, and pours libation into the soil, they are not simply observing agriculture. They are restaging the creation myth in miniature. Repetition makes the symbol operative. It is not merely illustrated in speech, it becomes effective in life. Symbols are also political. A crown once worn by a priest-king becomes a national crown centuries later. Images migrate from altars to standards and flags. The serpent of wisdom becomes a medical emblem, the oak of the forest becomes a national tree. Those transformations are telling. Symbols can be repurposed to legitimate institutions, to mobilize people, to unify a collective identity. Read a culture's emblems and you will read its history of authority. But symbols are not static relics. They evolve because human needs evolve. The same image can be contested, redeemed, or corrupted across generations. Take the phoenix, first a symbol of cyclical rebirth in certain ancient texts, later a personal emblem of renewal in Renaissance poems, and more recently a trope of popular narratives about reinvention. Each retelling folds new social conditions into the same image. To interpret a symbol well is to do careful work: historical, comparative, and psychological. There are at least 3 layers to watch for. First, the literal: what physical phenomenon does the symbol refer to? Second, the social: what social relations and institutions are encoded? Third, the existential: what inner states, anxieties, or aspirations does the image reflect? An honest reading holds these layers together rather than forcing one to dominate. Let me give you an example: the image of the labyrinth. At face value, it is a maze of stone and path. Historically, labyrinths appear in Minoan Crete, in medieval cathedrals, in Native American sand drawings. Socially, a labyrinth may demarcate sacred space, a place where the profane ceases and the holy begins. Psychologically, the labyrinth is a map of initiation: entering, losing bearings, meeting fear, and returning transformed. Different cultures emphasize different edges of this triad, but the image's gravitational pull remains the same. There is also a performative dimension to symbols. Language and image become ritual action. In many ancient societies, the utterance of a god's name was an act with consequence. To name was to call into being. Our modern metaphors, to brand, to name and claim, carry that residue. Symbols function as affordances. They open a range of possible actions for a community. Symbols also mediate paradox. Dualities, life and death, order and chaos, sun and moon, are recurring structural themes. Many myths present those dualities not as fixed opposites but as dynamic tensions. A symbol can hold contradiction without collapsing: a god who is both destroyer and creator, a river that gives life yet floods and takes. That capacity to hold paradox is what gives symbolic language its endurance and depth. Now, how does this matter for us, today? 2 answers. First, symbols are active in contemporary culture whether we notice them or not. Corporate logos, cinematic iconography, political gestures, all are modern symbol making. They shape emotions, prompt actions, normalize values. Second, learning to read symbols increases cultural literacy. It allows us to see beyond the surface and to question how narratives are constructed and who benefits from them. When you study mythic symbolism, adopt a posture that is both skeptical and receptive. Be skeptical of claims that reduce a symbol to a single meaning. Be receptive to the layered complexity and the living energy embedded in image and ritual. Ask, who performs this symbol? Who benefits? What cycles does this image stabilize or disrupt? Before we close, a brief practical exercise you can use to sharpen your symbolic reading. Choose an image from daily life, a national flag, a corporate logo, or a ritual object, and write 3 short notes. 1. The literal origins, 2. The social functions it performs, and 3. The deeper human anxieties or hopes it seems to answer. You will be surprised how quickly a familiar sign can feel estranged once you interrogate its layers. Symbols were the first grammar of the sacred. They taught us how to be in the world together. They still teach us, if we can slow down and listen. Thank you for walking this path with me. In our next lesson we will dive into a more charged theme, the battle of dark and light, dual myths, where we'll trace how opposing forces are dramatized across cultures and why those dramatizations still shape our politics, psyches, and stories. Until then, keep your eyes open to images, and your questions sharper than your certainties.